right, let's get going here. We are on Terror at Bottle Creek. This is chapter 11. It was sprinkling when I stepped outside. Blake Cortez's truck was pulling up the ramp, trailing his pontoon boat from slip 7. I raised my hand at him and lifted my finger off. He lifted a finger off of the steering wheel and continued uphill. There was still no pickup parked below. I saw Francie by the boat stalls, dangling her Elmo doll by the arm. I walked downhill and I found her watching Grant Hartley gathering his John ready for takeoff. "You got everything under control, Court?" he asked. "Getting there," I said. I turned to Francie. "You and Elmo need to go inside, Francie. Your mom's at the store, but Liza is up there." "When's the storm coming, Court?" she asked. "Soon," I said. "Looks like we're running out of time," Mr. Hartley said. "Yes, sir," I said. "Go on, Francie." She turned and she ran to the house. Catfish watched her go, then came up against me. "You need some help with that?" I asked. "I got it," he said. "You better tend to your houseboat." "I know. Good luck. You too, Court. Be safe." I started back to the houseboat and saw Dad standing on the back porch sipping coffee and studying the river. As I drew close, he lowered his cup and he looked over at me. "Looks like we're about to get wet," he said. "At least they got all the boats out," I said. "We still got one more. Why don't you run the John around to the ramp and I'll back the truck down?" I untied the John and I motored to the launch ramp. The rain had started to a steady drizzle by then. I pulled my cap low over my eyes and waited for Dad. After a few minutes, he arrived at the boat trailer. I motored the John onto the runner, and I sat in it while he pulled it up the hill. He parked it behind the Stavals house beside Mr. Stavals' old center console. I jumped out and unhooked the trailer, and he drove back down to the houseboat. Lisa appeared at the back door as I was pulling the drain plug. She wore her hunting boots and a rain jacket with the hood pulled over her head. "You think a train's gonna fall on them?" she asked. "I hope not. Your mom's got to put her car in the garage, so there won't be room for 'em in there." "Guess it doesn't matter about Dad's," she said, looking at her father's old boat. "That thing still runs good. We used it a month ago." She studied it doubtfully. "Those Irvin Roods 70s are tough," I said. "Francie's watching cartoons," she said. "What do you want me to do?" "I think we gonna start bringing our stuff up here. Dad's probably down there right now looking at it all." "Don't you want a raincoat?" I wore cut-off jeans, tennis shoes, and an old t-shirt, and a baseball cap pulled low over my eyes. As much as I had to do, I'd get wet no matter what I wore. "I'm fine," I said. For the rest of the morning, Dad hauled our fishing equipment, traps, and clothes out of the houseboat and set them on the deck. Lisa and I loaded the back of the pickup in the drizzling rain, using a tarp to cover everything and to keep it from getting too wet. When the truck bed was full, she climbed into the passenger seat and Dad sat on the tailgate. I drove us up to the Stavals garage where the three of us stacked it all inside against the wall. Mrs. Staval returned just before noon and told us to come inside for sandwiches. But then the wind was coming in steady gusts over the water oaks, and we heard hickory nuts rapping on the tin roof of the bait shop. We had nearly everything in the garage except for our 2 rifles, which Dad hung on the gun rack in the truck. "What about the houseboat, Dad?" "I'm still thinking about it," he said. "At least we got just about everything important off it. Still need to get the stuff out of the refrigerator and pack it on ice. Once we lose power, it'll all spoil." Mrs. Staval brought towels out of the garage, and we dried our heads and faces and took off our wet shoes. When we walked into the kitchen, she was making ham and cheese sandwiches for us. "The stores are out of just about everything," she said. "I had to go all the way to the Dollar General in Bay Minette." "I still got to get ice and some gas for the generator," Dad said. "I already got gas," she said. "It's in the back of my car. I had to wait in line for an hour." "Glad you thought of that," he said. "Court will get some cans out, and we'll make sure the generator works. Hopefully, they'll still have ice somewhere." After a quick lunch, it was time to go back to work. "What's next?" Lisa asked. "Why don't you see what flashlights and batteries you can find, sweetheart?" Dad said. "Get those propane lanterns out of the garage and put some new mantles on up. You know how to do that?" "I know how." "I can help you," I said. "Fill them up with fuel," Dad said. "Linda, fill up your bathtub and washing machines with water so we can use it when the pump quits. We've got to get started on the houseboat. It's getting mean out there." Whoa, can't read today, huh? Sorry about that.